1 year ago today, I got laid off from my job as a product designer and decided, F it, I'm going all in, I'm betting on myself and taking the entrepreneur route. So I figured now would be a great time to sit down and talk about everything I learned within this first year of being an entrepreneur. And then at the end, I'll even talk about how much money I made within this first year. So if that sounds like something interesting to you, stick around. Thank you for being here, and let's get into the video.
And I know you need a real one. I could be that plug fall through. And I know I had you crying, saying something about you over me. Yeah.
Okay, we got our coffee. We're going for a walk on the beach right now, but I want to give you guys a little bit of context before we get into the meat of the video. My name is Wyatt. I've been a product designer for the last 10 years, and I've worked with companies that are 2, 3, 4 people, all the way up to the companies that are Fortune 500 and large organizations such as Etsy and Allstate. Helped on mobile apps, websites, helped with double-sided marketplaces, e-commerce, all that good stuff. So I've seen a lot of exposure, and part of that gave me the confidence to be able to take the plunge because I'm not brand new to the field, and so I do have a network of people, and it allowed me the ability to do that. And with that, I've always kind of had that entrepreneurial itch and drive to do something on my own, just never fully committed to doing anything. And so I figured the layoff was kind of that kick in the ass, the acceleration to do it. And so now let's talk about the first year. So the first thing on our list here is imposter syndrome. It never fully disappears. You're always learning to manage it. And it's just part of the reality of entrepreneurship, right? I think I went into this thinking that it would eventually go away, and then I feel like I would know exactly what I'm doing and have everything figured out. But the reality is that that is not the case. And every single day you kind of just process through it, figure out what stuff you're supposed to be working on, and keep moving forward, right? Like some days you feel like you have the things figured out and things are clicking and working and going. And then the next you question everything. Why'd you get into this whole journey yourself? And it just makes you second guess everything. I've talked with other entrepreneurs, other design founders, other people in the space like that, and same sort of thing, right? They just keep on moving forward. There's a lot of self-doubt, but that's part of the journey. All right. Next up here on our list is definitely just being active increases your luck. It's amazing how if you are creating content, you are networking with people, you are going to meetups, you're showing things that you're working, your opportunity for scoring more work and getting more income tends to come along with it. I notice when I slow down, I take some time off, and I maybe stop sharing my work or start networking with people or stop doing calls. Everything else tends to slow down as well. I noticed in the past when I had worked full time, I got less opportunities coming my way for consulting gigs because people assume that you want no side hustles, you want nothing like that, and so opportunities stop coming your way. But the second that you are kind of a consultant or freelancer, it seems like people reach out to you more, and you tend to pull and have people come to you that are on a similar mission. They like your story, things like that. All right, next up here is community. I don't think I realized going into this year how important that was going to be, about surrounding yourself with similar-minded people, people that are on the same journey as you. I don't think I would have made it through this year if I did not find a good group of designers and freelancers and founders to constantly talk with and talk to about the problems that I'm facing, things that are happening to me in my day-to-day, things that I've tried and failed at, what things I've tried and they've had work successfully, and just having that open line of communication to share with people that are on the same journey. I knew it was always like, hey, surround yourself with people on the similar journey, or, you are the average of the 5 people that you hang out with the most, but I don't think I really realized how evident that was going to be until I got into the solopreneur journey. Because when times get lonely and when you start to doubt yourself, having people on the same journey, facing the same problems, going through the same things makes such a big difference in just keeping your morale up. I think one other interesting piece about community, specifically in the design freelancer space, is the fact that in the beginning I didn't really want to network with a ton of fellow designers, because I always thought, hey, if I'm networking with a bunch of designers, they're going to be ones that are competing for freelance projects with me, taking my clients, doing all of that, when in reality, not every designer wants the same kind of projects that you want or wants to work with the same kind of clients. There's a good fit for everything. Like, it's no different than a job, right? Like, not every single job is a fit for every single designer. And so they might refer you to another client that they don't really want to work with or they don't have the bandwidth for. And just by the sheer fact of networking with other designers, like, you end up finding more opportunities for work because they might want to turn down a role and refer it to you. Before I was not about paying for communities or paying to be in small groups of like-minded people, but now I realize, like, the little monthly cost you may have to pay to get into a community is worth every bit of that cost and the penny that you spend every single month. So the next one on this list for me was, the deeper and deeper I got into the year, the more and more I started to realize and uncover what things actually brought me happiness. Prior to this, I was kind of just playing around with things that I thought would make me happy, but I wasn't entirely sure like what those were. And having this year of entrepreneurship has really allowed me to play with the things that I otherwise didn't have time to play with, and experiment, working on design projects, working on side hustles, working on filming YouTube videos like this, writing content for LinkedIn. And that was like really awesome, because never in my life or in my career had I previously had the opportunity to do that. You allow yourself time to almost be bored, if you will. You'll start to uncover what things make you happy, what stuff you love, what stuff you hate. I've really learned for myself that these YouTube videos are a totally different creative muscle for me to flex, and it is really pushing me out of my comfort zone, because right now I'm on the beach in the middle of Da Nang filming this video in front of a ton of people, which used to make me a lot more comfortable than it does now still, has allowed me to realize, like, hey, I enjoy making videos. It's another creative muscle and just something that I otherwise would not have had the time and space to do if I wouldn't have just gone for it on my own and just started trying things. And another interesting point about just uncovering your happiness, I don't think I realized how much of my self-worth was tied up in making money, and how much directly making money attributed to a lot of my happiness. It's still something I'm fighting through and figuring out, but it's amazing how much, like, if I'm doing really good on income or revenue or whatever in the business, one month I tend to be a lot happier because things seem like they're just working and clicking. Whereas, like, if I have lull months, I tend to like question myself a ton. For me, momentum is massive. And I noticed when I was writing a newsletter for a long period of time, or was being very consistent on LinkedIn, or doing this YouTube video, specifically the YouTube videos here, I noticed more and more that if I allowed myself to skip one day, then it was really easy to skip the next day, or was able to skip 1 week on YouTube, or 3 days on LinkedIn post, that it was just that much easier the next time to do it. Or if I'm working on Ralee.co and I, spend a few days working on it, but then I skip the next few days, like, it's just that much harder to get into a rhythm as I move forward. And it's interesting because, like, I always knew this about myself, but it's become really apparent this last year, is just how much, like, I gotta just feel it and get in a rhythm and do things that are consistent. It's kind of just becomes muscle memory after a while, and that's one thing that I noticed is just, like, I'm a big momentum guy. If I slow down on things, if I stop, it's really hard for me to pick things back up. Like, this last month of travel, my momentum is slowed down because I got out of sync of things when my friend was coming to visit, and the only thing I stayed consistent on really was working on YouTube. And I think probably the final one, and this is more specific to design and consulting and freelancing, but referrals has still held strong in the best way to obtain design work and clients. There's lots of lead generation methods that you can do, but through the conversations with other fellow freelancers, with design agency owners, and myself included, referrals has always been and will be, to this day, the best way to obtain clients, because 90% of my work this year has come from referrals, with just one small client that came from, like, an inbound lead through LinkedIn content. And so, that's one of the big learnings this year. I always kind of knew that a little bit, but it was interesting to hear the validation from other designers and founders in the space There was also an interesting conversation that I had with agency owners that are running $2, $3, $4 million businesses, and still their most common way of getting clients is referrals. Some get it through content, but the majority of it get it through referrals. And so you kind of have to just do a lot of different things to be able to continue to get your voice out there. But referrals is always the strongest way to get them. And I know I was going to give you guys a little nugget of how much money I made within the first year, but to give you guys a reason to come back next time, I think I'm actually going to cover that in the next video, and I'll get a little bit more granular where those different revenue streams are coming from, how I got each piece of income, and how I'm currently living and traveling across the world right now, because I think there's probably a lot of ominous kind of things to it that you might not know, but we'll cover that in the next video. So if you made it to the end of the video, I really appreciate you being here. Please smash that like and subscribe button, share it with a friend, and we'll see you next time. Peace.